In Let the Right One In, the love story between Oscar and Ellie is the main driving element of the plot, threatened by Ellie's dark nature as a vampire, as she struggles to reconcile the two different aspects of her identity. As a vampire, she is threatening and dangerous to Oscar, but finds herself trying to overcome this so that she can be with Oscar together in their youthful romance. The back and forth of Oscar and Ellie growing close, then Ellie recoiling in self-disgust as she fears for Oscar and what he might think of her, is what drives the suspense and their tension of relationship in the story. The drama is exemplified in the scene around an hour into the movie, where Oscar cuts his hand so that they can do a blood pact, and Ellie cannot control herself and starts eating the blood. In this video essay, we will look at how director Thomas Anderson and cinematographer Hoyt van Hoytema use cinematography, sound and editing, and judge the mise-en-scene to create tension and convey semiotic meaning in the scene. At the start of the scene, Oscar takes Ellie into a room the older kids use sometimes as a place to hang out. Oscar sits down and Ellie puts on some music. This music, the song Forcenard by Agneta Faskog, has a calm and relaxed mood, and shows how Ellie wants to preserve the calm and stable relationship they are currently enjoying, emphasizing her inherent innocence and the relationship which is at stake and about to be plunged into jeopardy. When creating suspense in horror movies, sound is critical, either used to convey a feeling of terror and unease using cliché, or subverting that with contradicting energetic sound, which has again become cliché, the use of a calm, relaxing or uplifting pop song juxtaposed with frightening content and imagery. And because the audience is already cautious of Ellie and her violent nature, they can expect the calming music to lull them into a false sense of security before the tension is increased once Oscar gets out his knife. Between Oscar sitting down and him getting out his knife, we see two separate shots of the two characters. First is a medium-long shot of Ellie slowly walking around against the pitch-black background, lit by the harsh ceiling lights. Cinematography is especially significant in creating suspense in this scene, where Van Hoytema has manipulated camera angles and lighting to both subtly and obviously indicate the shifting dynamic in the scene and the bubbling tension moving forwards. The use of negative space in this is another common technique used to build tension, applying unknown, nefarious things within the gap, not literally, but still being used to create a sense of unease and tension for the character. In contrast to this, Oscar is lit much more evenly in a more comfortable medium close-up, where Ellie is usually expected to be the source of danger in this movie, which we saw in the previous scenes. Here, she is subtly positioned to be in a state of vulnerability, while Oscar is much more comfortable and safe. This expresses how Ellie is largely powerless against her predatory tendencies in spite of her good intentions, and how Oscar is unwillingly the instigator of their problems in this scene. The editing in this scene is again crucial to creating suspense, where editing shows is instructing the audience's exact view of the scene to force them into engaging with the nasty content. Once the knife is shown, the audience is anticipating blood to somehow be drawn, which is near confirmed by Oscar smiling, though it is not completely certain, when he's holding the knife as Ellie asks why they are there. When he lifts his hand up, the actual bloody hand is not seen. Then it cuts to Ellie, standing up over him and recoiling in shock, in the point of view of Oscar, confirming the audience's angst that she feels she is a threat to him. This shot, seen from Ellie's point of view, where the camera tilts down through an extreme close-up of Oscar's hand to the bottom of the floor, exemplifies the internal conflict Ellie is facing at the moment, and the rising tension in the scene. Initially, we see what Ellie's perspective of Oscar is, his hand. She is trying to quell her vampire urges and stop her from causing a danger to him. We then see the blood trickling down onto the growing puddle on the floor, showing how her vampirial instinct has taken over, and what she sees of Oscar has transformed from a person into just another source of blood. At which point the audience knows that she is on the verge of attacking and killing him viciously. We hear a crescendo string tremolo as her indecision builds, and as the audience we are wanting her to control herself, but eventually she gives in and starts licking the blood off the floor. The music that Ellie had put on at the start of the scene has now stopped. Even though she tries to preserve her humanity, the vampire tendencies are too much to control. In terms of mise-en-scene, the scene excels in creating tension and drama through the blocking and the props. The suspense in this scene primarily relies on dramatic irony to build tension within their relationship. We, as the audience, know that Ellie is a vampire, but Oscar doesn't, and we know that Oscar is cutting himself, drawing blood, but Ellie doesn't. The presence of the knife instantly conveys unease in the audience because of its association with blood and violence and cutting, where there could have been a pin or other sharp object which, in the story, would have had the same effect. The blocking, the movement of the actors around the set, is also used to great effect in showing the tension and dramatic dynamic between the two characters as the scene progresses. At first, Ellie is standing over and behind Oscar, so is unaware of what he is doing, yet still in a position of power over him. Once Oscar shows her the blood, she becomes suddenly aware of this and steps back, but Oscar stands up and goes towards her, unaware of what he is doing in provoking her. Then, when she jumps forward down onto the blood on the floor, she is lower down compared to Oscar, and so she is humiliated while still posing a threat to him being closer, drawing the visual parallel to a wild dog in a pose that is ready to strike. Overall, we can see how the director Thomas Alfredson and the cinematographer Hoyt van Hoytema have used these techniques to convey a chilling and suspenseful scene which manages to encapsulate the drama and tension which Oscar and Ellie try to deal with throughout the movie.